My guest today is Superintendent Todd Bowling. Todd, welcome back to SuperChat.
Morning, Gary. How are you?
I'm just fine, sir. Well, you are now into your second month of school, approximately, for the current school year. So what is your personal opinion of how things have gone so far?
Overall, I would say it's going very well. We cannot be more pleased. Our staff and students, community members are wearing their masks, making it easier to continue to have in-person learning. We're getting better out of remote learning. But with COVID, at any time, things could change. And it just depends on the cases, whether it's the kids or the staff, and not inside of school so much as what quarantines happen because of outside of school activities. But overall, we could not ask for a better opening. We feel good about how things are going.
Boy, that sounds great. Well, specifically, what have been your takeaways from your reopening of the schools? What have you learned?
Yeah, just the resiliency of our students and our teachers. They are flexible. They're changing when needed. We're still very worried about the equity in terms of access and participation of all students, because just because you have a Chromebook at home doesn't mean you're using it or it's connecting up on a regular basis to the Wi-Fi. So we're continuously monitoring that, continuously applying for grants that will give us better access for our kids at home who are having trouble getting the Wi-Fi. And then internally, just making sure that our kids who are showing up to school on a daily basis are engaged and are participating in their education, because there's a lot of mental health issues and things that are going on out in society that COVID just causes to become more significant. It's not an easy thing to live through. I can tell you, though, the one thing that we're very happy about is our cohorting model, and it is by far the best way to return to school. We're experiencing limited quarantines due to this model and have limited interaction amongst students and staff. And even when we have quarantines, they are more being caused by what's happening outside of school than inside of school. So weekends, evenings, and who people are around. The cohorting model of limiting face-to-face and staying with the same group of students all day long has been very effective.
It sounds like the plan and the procedures are working quite well for you. And speaking of your plan, prior to beginning this new school year, you prepared a very detailed plan of how operations were to take place. Has what you and your staff experienced so far prompted you to make any adjustments or tweaks to your plan for daily operations?
Yeah, we seem to be adjusting daily. And by adjusting to things we can't control is the biggest thing. And that's the positive test that might return, how many people are quarantined. Transportation and food service, two very important things, not academic related, but very important to school being successful, having enough drivers, having enough aides when we need them, having enough staff members to be in the classroom, having enough food service employees to serve the food, not only to our in-person learners, but also to our remote folks who are picking them up once a week. So our staff has done a great job following COVID safety procedures inside and outside of school, and just trying to adjust as things hit. I think the plan we put together and how things are going on a daily basis is running very well.
In recent months, I have spoken with so many schools where I'm getting negative news. It's refreshing to hear that something positive is coming out of a working plan. Well, let me shift gears a little bit on you. Last year, as part of your strategic plan, Northwest Local Schools committed to maintaining transparency with stakeholders. So how are you doing with that in regards to COVID-19 and its effect on your staff and students?
Yeah, and transparent is better job communicating in my mind, making sure that everybody is aware of what's going on. We continue to meet weekly with our teachers union. We continue to meet with our classified employees and our OPSI employees, which are our bus drivers, and just communicating at the highest level in terms of showing our COVID statistics and data. Right now, you can pull up our website, go down to our COVID page, and you can see exactly how many student and staff cases there are of COVID and how many quarantines there are in each building. And we're also running a cumulative, which shows how many we've had overall from the beginning of the school year. So it's using videos of myself that we're working on, putting out, spreading information. It's using this podcast, which is listened to by hundreds of folks. and making sure that we are doing everything we can to let them know what is going on. Because we have to check on two things. We are not only checking on our in-person learners coming to school, but how are remote learners doing? And then how are the parents doing? So it's keeping the community up to date and transparent by communicating more often and more frequently.
The contact tracing is a major follow-up process whenever a positive case is discovered. And it's my understanding that back in August, the school district hired a person to specifically help manage this tracing process. Has having that designated person on board with you helped? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, it's every day. You kind of show up and you wait for that announcement. And weekends are even more adventurous, I guess you would say, because on Mondays you come back to see what has happened over the weekend. And sure enough, we'll have 4, 5, 6 that are getting tested because of a encounter and being within the 6 feet for over 15 minutes. And so now you're in scramble mode. And so the important piece of a contact tracer, and I want to kind of mention this to any of our parents, community members also, is please cooperate with them as fully as possible. It is so important to prevent the spread by not being embarrassed because you might have COVID or you had a contact with it, but more important, expressing where you have been, talking to the tracer so that if nobody's left out of the loop, because if we're not absolutely positive and telling the truth about all of this, then somebody gets missed and then it can spread even more. So the contact tracer has helped Kiva Bryce, who is our district nurse, and working with our Hamilton County contact tracer. And with a large school district like this, it is of the utmost importance that we're able to track our students and our staff. But again, sometimes it comes to a phone call home. I mean, think about a fourth grader who might have been exposed, and you've got to get the parents to think back and trace where the child's been also, because all of this could lead to more people contracting the virus. It's been very helpful. And, it's a different world right now. You used to tell people, and as we were growing up, how sick are you? You can go to work, you can do this. Well, think about everything your parents have taught you. It's all changed now. You have to really look at what are the symptoms of COVID. And sometimes you have to make decisions that are best for you and the safety for others. So it's just a weird time, but it's something we're adjusting to. And all I ask is that if a contact tracer calls you, please respond immediately and be as honest as you can be, because it's going to help all of us.
No, absolutely, without question. Well, successfully combating this COVID-19 virus situation, it definitely requires a team effort. And this may sound somewhat cliche to some individuals, but it is critically important to the success of your defensive efforts against this virus. And I must add that parents are a very important partner in this battle against the spread of the virus. Will you remind our parents just what they can be doing to help students and staff members remain healthy?
Yeah, the at-home piece prior to coming to school is so important. If they can take the temperature, what is your child's temperature? And making sure that it's at the proper level. Are there any symptoms of the illness present, like a new or worsening cough, a shortness of breath, fever, chills, fatigue, muscle, body aches, headache? New loss of taste or smell, which is unique, sore throat, congestion or runny nose, nausea or vomiting, diarrhea, all of those things. And you know what we're getting into, Gary, is the flu season. So I meet on a weekly basis with the Hamilton County Health Commissioner, and he cannot reiterate the importance of getting a flu shot this season because some of these symptoms are very similar. And then, has your child been tested? You just need to let folks know. Sometimes parents feel it's important to get them tested because they might have had a contact with someone else. Keeping that communication line open with us so we know what to do there. And then very similar to what parents are getting when they go to the office. Have you been in contact with anybody in the last 14 days who's tested positive? Have you been out of the state? But just continuing to monitor the surroundings of where you are. And it's so important just to keep that 6-foot space, keep people out of what we've been calling as your bubble and keeping them away. Just the transparency of the parents communicating to us communicating back to them, all of that ties together and is so important.
Now, this whole COVID-19 situation, we are not out of the woods yet, for sure, but, everyone needs to remain diligent in their daily practices. Collectively, our efforts do make a big positive difference. This has been a very useful exchange today, Todd, a good report, and I want to thank you for coming on the show and joining me here on SuperChat.
Well, thanks, Gary. We always appreciate the opportunity to have great conversations with you and share the information with our community. So thank you very much.